In this video, we want to explore the terms self-efficacy, self-control, and self-regulation, and how it connects within the social cognitive field. Personally, I really believe in the concept of self-efficacy, in motivating students, in helping to build self-confident and self-directed learners. It enables students to have self-efficacy to go on from the classroom teacher to build resiliency in life and not just up in difficult situations. Self-efficacy is the belief in one's ability to accomplish a particular task, and it will motivate a student who is taking on a particular academic task to really persevere and use various strategies to be successful. Self-efficacy is so influential that Bandura believes that one cannot produce behaviors without some sort of belief that they can get it done. And as a result, students with high self-efficacy tend to use tactics that will enable them to master the task that is required of them. They will tend, more specifically, we can look at the selection processes. So students who believe that they're very good at mathematics and sciences, which is fields in engineering and the medical field. Students who believe that they have great skill relating with others may choose the field of marketing and teaching and working with persons in customer relations. It will also influence their motivation. In, as you mentioned earlier, they are not easy to give up in difficult situations. They are very resilient. It will also influence how they feel about the particular area. So the emotions that are connected with it, the feelings of anxiety that could hinder their performance would be abated because they enjoy what they're doing. Students who have high self-efficacy will tend to choose processes that are more effective than students who have low self-efficacy. How can we therefore seek to build self-efficacy in students? There are four major factors that influence self-efficacy. There are previous accomplishments, vicarious reinforcement, emotional arousal, and verbal persuasion. What we take note that persons who have achieved success in a particular area or field will tend to do better again. We take note that students who see other persons being successful in the field are more motivated to actually try out as well. So I see someone doing it, they can do it, so I can do it too. In terms of the emotional arousal, the positive environment that is created encourages persons to try, to encourage persons to persevere despite the challenges that they face. That is why they seek to fill the stands at wins, so that sharing on of the team gives them that extra zest that they need in performing. We also look at using the example of sports again when the captain or the coach will call them at time or period and give them that speech telling them you can do this and what tactic are they going to use and ask them what's your name and they all come and shout out we are that that sort of verbal persuasion pushes them forward to accomplish much more after that time or period. So just and therefore use that. If it can be used on the playing field, if it can be used for sports, why can't it be used within the classroom? Why? Because it influences the selection processes, the process that the person will go about selecting their goals and their various activities. It will influence the cognitive processes that they use. Persons who have high self-efficacy tend to use higher thought processes to solve complex problems versus just as just lower order strategies. It influences their motivational processes. They tend to rate their capabilities higher than the average, to work harder and longer to achieve a goal than those who feel less capable. And we find there that a person with high self-efficacy is more likely to experience the positive emotions of excitement and curiosity and eagerness to get started rather than individuals with low self-efficacy who dread taking on a particular task. There is a sense of anxiety, there is depression just thinking about the assignment or thinking about going to a particular class. Persons may even get physically sick because they have to face that subject area or that particular task with vomiting, um, and it can even go into worse situations as it relates to the impact of the affective processes of self-efficacy. So we are recognizing that self-efficacy is very crucial within the classroom environment. So I want you to pause at this time and think of how can you use the various factors that influence self-efficacy within your own classroom setting. Let us now go on to the concept of self-regulation. How do we get students to regulate their own behavior? Unlike the behavioral theory and operant conditioning specifically, the teacher is required to reinforce students, develop certain reinforcement schedules that they can now use to reward students. In the social cognitive theory, they view the learning process as going through the various processes of observation, emulation, self-control, and then self-regulation. In the process of self-control, the student is able to control their actions in the absence of these external reinforcement and punishment. So a student who has been taught to start a new task after finishing assignment does so when the teacher is not there exhibits self-control. It involves behaving in ways that lead to achievement of goals and suppressing behaviors that are detrimental when no one is looking. That would be great for your classroom management, right? And then in self-regulation, you have a student who would continue practicing these behaviors into other situations. So they consistently use the self-control skills that they have learned in new situations. They would move from your class to another teacher's class. They move on to the high school, into the workplace, and the skills that they learn in regulating their own behavior allows them to set their own performance standard evaluate their performance, and reinforce their own self. As a result, we have the development of self-regulating students, and as a result, they are able to go into life as persons who are really great at managing themselves and not waiting on some supervisor to come in and discuss their, their work. They can work independently and they can work with others when the need arises. So the teacher who's able to modify a particular day's lesson plan to capitalize on a student interest in a new story or compares a students and our own performance again an internal standard. The teacher is not waiting on the supervisor or the principal to to make an appointment to come and visit the classroom in order to do this type of things. So we are saying that the social cognitive theory impacts learning in such a way that it would seek to build self-directed learners. However, these skills need to be taught to the student. It's not automatic. And the first place you would want to start is with self-efficacy. And what are the factors that can build self-efficacy? We're saying here that it will be the previous accomplishments, success breeds success. You give students an opportunity to have success very early within the term. We build on that. And we show them models of persons who have done it before. We actually have them help in creating that positive classroom environment and remember the impact of our words on students, and that's the persuasion. Self-efficacy is so important because it affects the decisions that they make, selection, motivation, affective, and cognitive. And that now leads to the process of developing self-regulation, which should be observation, emulation, self-control, and then self-regulation. Thank you for your participation, and I'm hoping to see you utilize these skills not just for the assignment, but also within your classroom environment.